Welcome back to Sysadministrivia, the podcast where we sometimes learn how to properly cool very large rooms. This is Brent.
I'm Jonathan.
Paden.
And with us tonight we have...
Johnny Christmas.
Great. Woo! So Johnny, you've been on the show, I think, 3 times now?
Really?
I think it was twice.
I think it was twice.
You know what I want to comment on is that we have Johnny Christmas on Christmas and July Eve.
There, yeah, well, that's what I'll have to name the episode, is Christmas in July.
Eve. When will
July
it air?
Eve? Oh, well, August.
It's not going to air for like a month.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter now because we've already discussed the issue.
Right.
We'd have to we'd start all over.
But I do print when episodes are recorded, so it's okay.
Correct.
We've got
and we'll reference it multiple times throughout.
We've got redundant systems in place of making sure the joke is known.
Okay, good. Explain it in the show notes. Dude.
Yeah, I will.
Because jokes are funniest when you make sure everyone can get them. By way of thorough explanation.
I do kind of find it like the anti-humor where you just like delve into why a joke is funny, because eventually it comes around and starts actually being funny.
So the reason
that should be
why
the entire episode title
is because
just that whole sentence.
The episode title is Christmas in July, comma, which is a funny title, comma, because and you have to spell out comma. Christmas is in December. However,
that would be a great way to test for buffer overflows and podcast clients.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
See if we can get a title
on board.
Field overflow. Okay, so tonight we have Johnny with us. He's actually going to be talking about something we've never talked about on the show before, which is surprise.
I'm actually not with you at all. I haven't left my house.
All right, figuratively
you are
speaking,
with us in spirit,
digitally.
I just met you.
His ghost in the shell is converged amongst our ghosts in the shell, and we are all in a virtual place together.
It's like a ghost orgy. A gorgy.
A gorgy.
A gorgy.
Right, exactly.
I run a ghost company. Did you know that? Can I plug my companies?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Do you want to wait until the end to do that, or do you want to do that now?
No,
I'm going to do it
because
throughout.
people are going to shut off.
Nobody
are about to
Nobody
reveal
listens
something.
to the end.
You're about to reveal something that's not supposed to be revealed.
What?
Yeah.
Right.
No, it's fine. I run Ghost Express, where we can ship a ghost to pretty much anyone in the world, pending they have a place to receive shipments.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, that's kind of important. Yeah.
We're at the incredibly difficult to understand TLD of Ghost.Express, which I think that's been a problem for us.
It's like people are just trying to go to ghost.express.com
Like they don't get it.
Or something. Yeah.
Well, they'll Google Ghost Express, and I think now the SEO is starting to get us up there. But we're at ghost.express. Just type it in. I promise you it's fine. Do what the hacker says. Just type this in the address bar of your browser, and it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Yeah.
So it is my understanding that Brent actually got a ghost.
I did. It's currently in storage.
Yeah.
But,
You just shoved it in like a fucking closet.
no, I'm in the process of moving. By the way, I just closed. So
Congratulations. Welcome to debt.
Yeah, I
no
remember.
kidding.
And you were quite upset about that ghost for a very long time.
Not the curiosity was maddening more than anything. It was great that I received it. I was really flattered. But I spent like a good week trying to figure out who sent it, and nobody's spilling beans.
And that's really our selling point, is like it drives people mad when they don't know who did it. Like it's not so much the like okay, it's cute because it's a little ghost in a box. And then also it's the like, if you got a friend who's super spooked by ghosts, it's great. But most of the time it's the madness of who the hell did this.
Right, because it's totally anonymous. Yeah,
we have people who send us like videos of their friends freaking out, like angry, like, which one of you fuckers did it? Just fucking tell me. Just fucking tell me. Like, I get it. It's funny. Just tell who the fuck did it. Like, we've ruined friendships with these ghosts.
I like that.
I think we should. I think you should set up a serial killer as a service.
A what?
Serial killer as a service.
Maybe not do that.
That'd be fine.
Isn't that just called a
like
hitman?
ship someone a serial killer, just like the next step up?
I don't think that. Well, if their ghost supply ever runs low, they have a way of increasing the stock, I guess. But
We're about to roll out an option where you can send a ghost to a random person.
Oh gosh.
This is, which I think just we thought of that on the last episode of I Got One. Which plug in my podcast.
There you go.
Podcastception. Yeah, I got one podcast
he's really
every Friday
here right now.
just to plug all of my business ventures. I forgot why I'm here.
I'll remind you when we get to
Reasons. Many reasons.
Not interested.
He only wants to plug stuff.
Just drink something for a little bit and we'll be fine.
Right.
Should I do it noisily?
Sure. I can't guarantee our editor won't.
The more noise, the better. Like if you have a little kid crying in the background, maybe a train.
Oh, I can do that. Hang on.
Kettle go off.
He's gonna open up.
How much time do I have?
As much time
I'm just gonna go get a little kid.
We got a soundboard.
Just gonna go.
Yeah, what the hell? Just go get a little kid. They're everywhere. You go to the mall.
I have 5 in my house.
That's what my mom told me. You just you just take kids at the mall. She said that happens all the time when I was a kid. So if I needed a kid, I'd go to the mall.
I don't think that was meant to be an encouragement to do it. I don't think she was condoning it.
I think she was just passing the information. I assumed that's where where I and my brother came from. Like when they brought my brother home, like I thought they brought him home from the mall.
Did you guys get him from the mall?
Nobody's actually giving birth. Yeah, just constantly trading and it's like Pogs.
One of my very first experiences of memories of being out of the house was going to the mall and my mom yelling at me to stay close because someone will take me. And then a year later, they come home from who knows where, and they have a baby. And I assumed, well, he must have come from the mall. Because that's where people take babies from.
Mm-hmm. The baby store.
The baby store. That's right.
Cool.
The babies. Just so the mall. Just outside. The mall.
Well, you've got a lot of others. You've got the food court, which is... No, I almost took that to a really dark place.
I used
to... Wow.
The babies, 2 babies enter, none leave.
Well, that's why it's right next to the food court. Yeah.
I used to have a Thomas Jefferson costume, like a real one, like a reenactor's costume.
Why Thomas
Jefferson? Paden, we're moving on. We're moving on to Thomas Jefferson.
Why Thomas Jefferson?
So there's real. Okay, I'm not going to say where I got it from, but I'll say I got it from a costume store.
Okay.
And I was like, I want to try this on because they had like $1,000 costumes there and stuff that you could rent.
Right.
And I was like, oh, can I try this on? Because I was just thinking of wearing it to homecoming, and because I was like 14 or something. And I put it on, and it was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And so I was walking around the costume store with it on, just like being a shit, and everything you do dressed as Thomas Jefferson is funny.
Right.
And then I just left. I just kind of left.
Okay.
And so now it was mine by way of my actions. And so I would go to the mall wearing this Thomas Jefferson costume, and I would just go to the food court and I would just get some Sbarro, and I would sit way in the corner by myself and just eat my Sbarro. And every once in a while, somebody had come up hey, why are you dressed as Thomas Jefferson? Or really they wouldn't recognize it, but why are you dressed as that? Yeah. Some old dude, and I'd be like, hey, come on, man, I'm just trying to eat my lunch. I would blow them off and be like, come on, man, I'm eating.
Out and say,
don't
I'm
bug
on
me
my
when I'm
lunch
eating.
break.
I would just
I don't even think he implied it was his lunch break.
I would do the very much going out of my way to not draw attention to myself response of hey, come on, man, I'm just trying to enjoy my lunch. While at the same time clearly drawing attention to myself. If I threw a fit, it'd be obvious that it's a bit. But I'm really no, man, come on, man, I'm just eating my lunch. I'm just getting lunch and I'm gonna go. Don't worry about it.
You gotta print up a replica late 1700s newspaper, the parchment, and just sit there and read it while you're eating. And
scroll. Yeah. Get a big feather to write with.
Yeah.
Come on, man. I'm just trying to answer my mail.
Yeah.
And then I would, and I just thought it was so
you have to have the feather with the ink quill so you can pull some parchment.
Right. Yeah. And I thought the funny thing on earth I could do with this Thomas Jefferson costume was nothing. And so I would just go do nothing in it. I would just wait for the bus. I wouldn't get on the bus because then that's something. I would just wait. I'd be at the bus stop forever, and I would wave the bus along no, it's fine.
How much time did you fucking waste doing that?
Oh,
I don't think it's time wasted, Jthan.
Like to date?
Is this something you still
I was in it about an hour ago. It's
There you go.
No, that thing's long gone.
That's a shame.
He was just wearing it.
That's for mommy and daddy time.
Hey,
There you go. Cool. Okay,
cool.
so
All right. Good stuff.
let's talk about what we are drinking tonight. Who wants to go first?
Jthan goes first.
I always go first.
That's true. You always go first. What are you drinking tonight, Jthan?
Gin and tonic, but I'm almost out, and I'm gonna need
What kind of gin and tonic?
Tanqueray. Not fancy tonic. It's just
The Canfields?
I don't know, Seagram's or whatever.
Okay.
Canada Dry
I didn't know
tonic.
Seagram's make.
One of those.
Okay.
Okay,
It's what I had on hand.
sure. All right, who else is
Johnny,
drinking?
you're up.
So I just took a nice long nap, which means I needed me a Red Bull, and so I
Okay.
got a Red Bull with a heap and helping of some Death's Door vodka, which I absolutely love. It's got this like vanilla-y sweetness to it that's just amazing, and you can drink it straight for days. I love it so much I've just started buying gallons of it.
I've had their gin, but never their vodka.
And you know what? I don't really
what's it
like their
called again?
gin. Death's Door. Death's
You
Door.
don't
That's
like their
stored.
gin, or you haven't
I
had
don't
it?
really like their gin. And their vodka, absolutely amazing.
You're like a gin guy, right?
I'm particular about gin, so I that might be the same thing.
Yeah. Well, you should go to Bathtub Gin & Co. next time you're in Seattle.
It sounds terrible.
No, it's a
Jeez.
It does sound
speakeasy with this
terrible,
really
yeah.
weird guy who has a podcast about drinking gin.
They're about to jack up the alcohol taxes here in Illinois substantially, and I'm very excited for the return of bathtub gins. Yeah, like I'm on.
I want to
I'm
make sure
ready
the
for it.
bathtub's clean first. But,
Alcohol.
Yeah,
Right.
Sure.
Look, alcohol will kill all the bacteria.
You could just move to a new state.
But then it wouldn't have Chicago.
That
Like,
sounds like a
There's,
positive
you know,
thing.
like
It
once
really does.
every 3 years, there's a push to make Chicago its own state, like Chicago, Milwaukee, Gary, Indiana, and yeah,
Really?
and it's no,
Wait, this isn't
this
a
is
bit.
real. This
Like,
happens all the time.
they're
I'm sure this
okay,
happens in
all right.
like a lot of cities because you know any state with a huge city like Chicago, the problem is that like the population of that city outvotes the rest of the state,
Right.
and the rest of the state is usually like
Right.
rural or something. So yeah, it's Maine California has the problem. You know, they're trying to split North and South. California, same with Maine. It's that.
Yep. I
You
remember
know,
that,
and it's
yeah.
true. Like this is a farm state. Illinois is an agricultural state, and then you've got freaking
Yeah.
Chicago here voting for pro city everything, and the farmers are just getting screwed because of us because there's like 9 of them. So I get it, but it's a beautiful city.
Your gun laws are ridiculous, by the way.
Those are gone. The Supreme Court shut those down.
Really?
We were the
Really?
50th state. Yeah, we were the
Of
last
course,
state
yeah.
of the union to
Interesting.
allow concealed carry per Supreme Court decision.
I mean, I feel like half the constituents there.
Right,
are
and that's
carrying
what
them
like
anyway,
that was
so-
the big joke. You're gonna tell me no farmer in this state was doing concealed carry? Come on, that's like party.
right.
Yeah, and
Right. And even in the,
Oh, and the
even in the
city's
city,
super
especially
murdery.
too. It's,
actually they did a study for like where all those
So-
guns come from, and it turns out that they were guns that were sold to Central American
Interesting.
groups who were, for the purposes of
Yeah.
military coups, and then they were then smuggling our guns back into our country and then selling them illegally. Yeah,
oh my gosh,
it's hilarious.
That's double illegal.
Yeah. So it
Yeah.
was our own guns that we had smuggled into Mexico to arm people who then became malicious
Right.
dictators who then took those guns and sold them back to us.
Right.
Like I ain't even
Joe Blow on
mad.
the street can't walk over and buy one, because
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah.
this has been
It is
Firearms
so- it's so
Administrivia.
weird that it would make up. Yeah. That's gunpowder Administrivia. What are we talking?
Other
Jthan, did you
malicious
tell us what
stuff.
you were
Yes.
drinking?
He
You did.
was
You went first.
Oh, that's right. We're talking about hooch.
Right.
I also have a bottle of Rowan's Creek Kentucky bourbon as a backup, which I really like as well.
I haven't had.
Oh, so yeah, one of
Rowan's
the big
yet,
upsides
but-
of living in Chicago is I'm about an hour south of the cheapest alcohol in the country.
Yeah, well, you guys were part of the original
yeah.
bootlegging belt
So,
for a while. So
Wisconsin
that makes sense.
has no liquor taxes, and which cuts the cost of liquor substantially. And so I can drive an hour to the border, and there's a store there called Woodman's, which has an alcohol department that's so huge that it's actually walled off into its own store. And it's amazing.
Sounds like my kind of store.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's like Sam's Club for liquor.
Do you have membership cards?
Yeah, we have something like that in down in Maryland. There's a big old store down there, and
Is Maryland really merry? Because I've been to Baltimore and it was
Maryland is not very merry.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
but it's also spelled M-A-R and not M-E-R-R. Whatever. Okay.
Chicago is very cheeky.
It is.
Is
That's
it
true? Yes, it's quite.
Oh
cheeky.
yeah. We're known for our improv, which is the cheekiest of all forms of comedy.
No, I thought you were going with like chic, as in stylish, not cheeky. As in, okay,
no, we're going through this like anti-style period right now, where everyone wears like the frumpiest possible clothing. I'm not into it.
It's not okay. Fair enough. Yeah, you are a fairly stylish individual, so I can see how that can not be your
Well,
thing.
I guess not.
Well, non-faddish stylish. You follow the beat of your own drum, kind of a thing.
Yeah. Now, if I go out like dressed up, I get looks, but not like hey,
Thomas
look at that guy. It's
Jefferson.
like, what's up with that guy? Yeah, like I get the same looks that Thomas Jefferson got. Yeah, it's
Right.
that. It's like,
Right.
dude, go ask him what he's doing.
Yeah. Is he from the West Coast?
What? I'm going to a wedding.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Who else is drinking?
Me, Paden, what
Clearly
are you
all
drinking?
of us.
I have 4 cans of 16-ounce Coors Light, and then I have vodka after that.
That's
Okay.
a
And
lot
I've
of
got
fucking
another dirt
Coors
bowl.
Light.
It's really not
It
that
is
much.
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah. You plan on getting through all of them, or?
Yeah. I'm gonna
Okay,
finish
all
all
right,
4 of them.
cool.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
And
I'm already
like I
down
said,
one, so yeah.
I have a Dirt Wolf because I still have that stash.
Fuck your Dirt Wolf.
I don't know what
Calm
that
down.
is, but it
is
sounds gross.
It is a beer by Victory Brewing.
It's 2 things I try to avoid.
Dirt
Dirt and wolves.
Yeah.
What if it was wolf
Yes.
made out of dirt?
Pass.
Okay, moving on. Paden,
Double pass. Double pass that
we're
double
running.
base.
Yes.
We're running a little behind. Do you want to?
We'll fix it in post.
Well, we will.
Fuck
probably.
it, we'll do it live.
Yeah. Why don't you
There
give
it
us the
is.
tip you have tonight?
As we say in the I Got One podcast, we'll
I
fix
have
it
to
in
tell you,
post.
We'll fix it in post.
It's a hefty. It's turgid. It's a hefty
God.
turgid.
No, you just did this joke in S04E13.
I'm gonna keep doing it again.
Turgid. Would you say it's humid
Turgid.
and moist?
I don't think
It is a little moist. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, all right, go.
All right.
For the
So,
I like a hefty turgidity.
we are my tip, my little mushroom head here is going to be
Well, it doesn't work if you blatantly reference.
he's dying.
Sorry,
Did you just cough from vaping?
I did because I started talking and I forgot. No,
Can I cancel still?
Can I cancel? It's a
I
little
told
too
you
late,
vaping
Doug.
was bad for
You're
the
in this
show.
with all of us here.
Can we do a postpartum abortion on my appearance here?
Oh no. Oh my gosh.
Too soon?
My Paden, the joke doesn't work if you blatantly reference what it's a
We were also
metaphor of.
talking
You
about.
know what's
metaphor,
worse than
just
explaining jokes?
innuendo.
Is explaining why jokes.
We were
I'm
talking
explaining
about
why
his,
it doesn't
his
work.
turgidity, and then
Yeah.
Johnny asked if it was fucking humid. Like, what kind of primordial soup is Paden brewing?
Look, my AC's off, and I can tell you right now, it's pretty humid.
Samesies.
It's pretty humid.
I turned it off for this podcast,
Yep.
so the longer we do this,
That
the
means-
sweatier I get.
Yup.
And all you're getting out of it
Roll.
is Brent choking on his vape.
Yeah.
He's still laughing about that. I don't know
Yeah.
why.
Later on, when he goes, "How was the podcast?" I'm going to say Brent choked on his vape, and they're going to go, and like that's going to be a great summary of.
That's gonna be like the one thing.
And he's going to edit it out too.
Okay, no, edit
So we
keep
have
it
to
in.
keep mentioning it so that he
Edit
can't.
Edit keep it in, just so they don't have to keep on mentioning it, and so Paden can actually get through the episode. I'll even put it in the episode summary, so it displays on the front page. All right, I'll do that just for you, Johnny.
Cool. So are we almost done?
No, we're not almost done. We didn't even get to your topic. Paden,
All right. Yes.
we definitely are running behind now. Please,
Okay, all right.
tip, go.
Okay. This is Paden with the tip. It's a needle point. Here we go. All right. So we're going to talk about drill. Drill is a tool designed to get all sorts of information out of the DNS. It is specifically designed to be used with DNSSEC. It's a pun on dig. With drill, you're supposed to get even more information than with dig. If no arguments are given to class, defaults to N and type to A. Defaults to N and type A. Server specified and entity resolve conf are used to query against. You would drill name or at server or type.
I'm doing it right now, in fact.
Paden's
so
with the
syntax.
Have you guys heard of this? Is completely
dig.
Not really that relevant at all.
Then it can wait.
Jthan,
No.
what?
Have you guys heard of Apache Drill?
No.
I don't know. It's sysadmin related, so
Yeah, it is technically related.
Have you heard of
Jthan? What is
Apache
it?
Drill?
What is it? We just said no.
Apparently, it allows you to take
Jesus Christ.
if you have like a 20 gig JSON or like other markup file, you can use SQL queries to pull out the information you want.
Okay, fine. That's great. Moving on.
Wow.
Paden.
What does that have to do with
I'm interested.
drill?
Jthan, we're behind. We need
Who
to
gives a shit?
move into the main topic.
We have no-
Look, Jthan, do you want time for your
deviations
clams or
and-
No,
not?
that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll give up my clams for a good episode.
No.
You will not give
keeping
up
your
your
clams.
clams.
We love your clams.
To be fair to him, I just tried to do like a brew install drill and it pulled Apache drill. So.
Okay, well, there you go. So
There you go.
Apache drill.
Paden, is that DRILL or DRIL?
DRILL.
Okay.
I thought it was DRIL, like the really funny guy on Twitter.
Yeah, right. Drill.
He's
Sweet.
my hero.
Fantastic. Paden. Okay,
Yes.
so you were just covering the syntax of drill.
Yes.
What do you use it for?
What else?
It's like
Gathering
dig.
information about DNS.
Jesus Christ, it's like dig. It's a pun
Criminy.
against a dig. You didn't pay attention to that?
Why is it better?
It gives you even more information.
There you
Okay.
go.
But
Okay,
this is
that's
literally
fine.
just a tip. It's supposed to be a short bit. We don't need to have a lot of conversation about it.
Well, we fucked that up.
Yes, we sure fucking did. Jesus Christ. What the fuck are we going to do now?
But to be fair,
Yes.
Yes.
so I'm working on my scan cannon tool, which is used to enumerate the scan cannon. Yeah, it's as awesome as it sounds. It's used to enumerate the external presence of like really, really large, like multi-ASN corporations.
Is that
What
a
is an ASN
fork of
corporation?
Masscan or something totally different?
So it uses Masscan to quickly determine which hosts are up,
Got it.
but then
Okay.
it flips over to Nmap for actual accuracy.
Okay.
So it's a
Makes
2-in-1. But then it creates a ton of different flat files in formats that are super useful for then importing into other utilities.
Are
For
you
like
using Nmap's native formatting for that? Like it has native output formatting for like XML.
I
and all
do
that
do
other
that as well,
Okay,
just
good.
because there are a lot of tools that bring those in. But then also, I mean, I will separate out like here's all your remote desktop hosts. Here's
Oh.
all your FTP hosts, all in flat files. So like if you have
Cool.
a tool
Nice.
where you're just brute forcing FTP, you can just hand it that flat file and go back to your work. Like it's meant. It's both like a really good inventory tool and an attack preparation reconnaissance tool. And I'm going to see if drill would be useful for it. So
There you
thanks
go.
for the tip.
So I may have
Awesome.
actually just given you a good piece of software to use.
There you go.
Well, just the tip.
Right, just the just the tip. Okay,
Go
so now
Paden.
we can actually get into the meat of this episode.
It is
we're-
meaty. It
Yeah,
should
after
be
you get the
fairly
tip
meaty.
in, then you push the meat
Right.
in.
Oh my god, I didn't even think about that.
Well,
Gosh,
we go full
Okay.
Monty is what we do. You know.
we're right. Okay, now, Johnny, recently you've been experiencing some extreme frustration with HTTP bots and WAFs. Are you still
Oh,
fired up
man.
about that?
It
sounds like you are.
I'm fired up about WAFs, and I have been fired up about WAFs since like 2010 when I started
Great.
working with WAFs.
Okay,
Well,
that's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Okay, so for those unfamiliar, WAFs are web application firewalls. They operate totally on layer 7, right?
Can
Yeah.
I? Yeah. You want me to? Because I
Yeah,
can
go
do
ahead,
it real
go ahead.
angrily.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
You're gonna-
WAFs.
you're gonna-
So
Yep.
WAFs, if WAFs generally they're managed by your security team if you have one. Otherwise, there's your sysadmin team is often straddled with these. And these are those terrible boxes that you're never allowed to actually run in line because their false positive rate is absolutely insane. And
How high is the rate? I just want to know.
Absolutely insane.
it's guaranteed 99%. For
Really?
every WAF.
Really?
No, I don't.
Wow.
It's a
Oh, okay.
it's
all right.
it's so high that I have never in my personal experience found an organization where the business allowed the WAF to operate in line and actively block traffic. That's how bad it is. And it's because all of these WAFs that are out there have not really upped their game since they came out in the late 90s. They passively inspect traffic that comes in, and whenever you're doing any kind of passive traffic inspection, that traffic can lie, and the WAF just has to trust it. They do header inspection. You know, they do behavioral analysis that's IP based. And they'll do a mild to moderate level of post data inspection. And all of that's terrible. The post data inspection is kind of okay because at least you can start trying to inspect for like SQL injection strings and things like that. The downside is that that's often super easy to bypass by re-encoding it, or just things like that. Like, you don't have to be elite hacker to come up with some kind of encoding that's going to bypass the post inspection portion of a WAF,
because JavaScript will do it for you, and PHP will do it for you. And,
there's like no end of like web APIs that you could just bounce your crap through on the way and like have it re-encoded. HTTP headers, the easiest thing on the planet to lie about. You should just ignore these. They don't ever look at these for any reason. Don't write rules against them. Just stop. And then IP addresses. This is my favorite part. This is my like 2019 epiphany that I think is the greatest thing ever. That is also extremely detrimental. As a hacker, this is this weird dichotomy we live in where we go, that's fucking amazing, and also, holy shit, horrifying. The world is on fire. Right. So, like, IP addresses are very cheap. So general IP addresses, free. Like, especially if you're just dealing with proxies and things like that. Like, free proxies, there's no end to this. If you want, like, super free, like, transparent proxies, you might have to pay $5 a month. So, generally, the business will let you block IPs that are from maybe certain geographic regions, right? Like, if you don't do business in China or Ireland or whatever, the business will be like, okay, you can block any geo IP that comes out of China. But then, like, you have this problem of tons of people are using VPNs now, like VPNs as a service, which generate a lot of IPs coming out of China or wherever. You can say you're from wherever. So now this whole act of even just geo-blocking IPs is potentially blocking potential customers. Now, these people who are using these VPNs who realize the site isn't working might turn their VPN off. Like, that's a normal assumption, and that's fine. These are more like kind of power users. No business is going to allow you under any circumstances to block residential IP addresses, right?
Yep.
Nobody. Especially like if you're an e-com site, like nothing. They're going to go, no, hey, can I block like this entire Comcast ASN? No. Hell no. Hell fucking no. There are many companies out there which will sell you, lease you residential IP addresses by the thousands.
Yep.
To the extent where you can, launch your attack and send a single HTTP request per IP address. From a residential IP. There's services that guarantee the validity of IP addresses, and if one of your IPs gets blocked, they'll give you a new one for free.
Yeah,
like that's insane.
You know, I work for a VPN and proxy provider, right?
No, I did not.
Okay,
wait, can you say which one, or do you want to not? Because
it's Foxy Proxy.
Oh, I did know that.
You did know that.
Yeah, I totally knew that because I remember that first time, and I was like, I use the shit out of your shit. So I'll drop them because I think it's really hilarious what they do. Like, so this is a great story. Do you probably know Hola VPN?
Yes.
HOLA. They got the little flame logo. Hola VPN became really popular as a means of bypassing geo IP restriction for viewing streaming television shows. They let you watch sporting events in other countries, things like that. They really exploded during the when America was in the World Cup a few years ago. And it was then, they let us watch the World Cup, because America is a country where we only give a fuck about soccer every 4 years.
Right.
And so that was 4 years ago, and they gave a fuck about soccer. So Hola VPN took off, and Hola VPN is a free tier. And you have to wonder, hey, how does Hola VPN provide a free tier? And originally, I've never used Hola VPN. I assume they injected ads or something like that into the HTTP traffic. They pop up in your browser, like the old Net Zero days. Do you guys remember Net Zero?
I remember.
Too
Along
old.
with Juno. Yep.
Yeah. So Net Zero would just like inject these ads. What they're actually doing is they got a side business called Luminati. And this is where it really starts to sound conspiracy theory. It's Illuminati. I think it's Illuminati.io, if I recall. If you check out the whole of VPN terms of service for the free version, it directly tells you that you're agreeing to allow their partner, Illuminati, to use your home IP address as an exit node for their service. And so what's happening is by running Hola VPN on your system, you're effectively an exit node for malware. You're running a free internet proxy for malicious folks like me and everyone else to utilize.
Interesting.
And because no business is able to block IP addresses from residential subnets, it's fair game. You'll never get that IP blocked unless you get like super off the wall with your like behavior, and then they'll block that one. But it doesn't matter because via Illuminati, you've got 500 or 1,000 to use, and if one does get blocked, they will give you a new one. So that's out there, and they're not the only company doing that. There's another company doing a completely different model called Monkey Socks.
Monkey socks?
It's fun to say. Say it, Monkey Socks.
Monkey socks.
Monkey Socks.
Yeah, it's like sock monkey, but inside out.
Monkey Socks. So Monkey Socks, all they do is residential IP exit nodes, but they do it via. They don't do residential IP. They do mobile IPs. And they do it by offering an SDK that you integrate into your mobile app. And so when you make a free mobile app, you roll in the Monkey Socks SDK. Monkey Socks gives you $1 for your app or whatever. And your app works as normal, but also it opens up a front door. It's not a back door because it doesn't let traffic in. It opens up a front door for traffic going out. It turns your phone or whatever mobile device into a proxy. With a mobile IP address, which again, businesses will absolutely never allow you to block.
Oh, that's fucking
because
crazy.
Because those addresses are DHCP. They get around too much. Blocking one potentially blocks someone else down the line.
So
it's bad news.
Is there like a curated list of assholes who put this in their apps?
Not that I have ever personally found. They are. Monkey Socks does suggest that you add this little quip to your terms of service saying that by using this app, you agree to allow Monkey Socks, et cetera, et cetera. Whether anyone does that or not is up to them.
Not?
They should, because otherwise it kind of leaves them open to some litigation. But depending on what country they're in, that
catch them first.
Yeah, right. Got to catch them first. And yeah, it's bad news. If you were able to download the entire Android App Store, like you can, and I won't tell you how, and inspect them. I would be interested to see how many of them actually mention the Monkey Socks bit. But
if anyone's,
that's a project for another day.
If anyone's a CS and you're looking for like a thesis, there you go.
Yep, boom, got it.
Oh
I don't know if that's really worth a thesis. I was thinking that'd be something fun to just do on the compute cluster tomorrow.
No, you should see theses nowadays, man.
Yeah,
it's like it's amazing. I'll see like people's master's theses, and I was like, I wrote this as a white paper as a joke.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh crap! I didn't know I was doing legitimate academic research.
Jthan, you remember the guy who rewrote CP and Go as his thesis?
Yeah. I wasn't CP though.
Okay.
I don't think it was. It might have been.
I'm pretty sure it was CP.
Did I ever tell you about the when I met the guy who wrote RM?
No.
That
sounds fantastic. Like the original.
Allegedly.
Dude, it was LS
or whatever RM.
LS,
right?
Yeah, the System V, the System V RM. Here, I'll try to make it like 10 sentences or less. I was in a SANS class in San Francisco, and
SANS, good stuff.
Yeah, well, they used to be. Now they scam people into pay.
Really?
They do the hey, if you don't send us money, we're gonna burn notice you thing.
That sucks.
So,
by the way, follow Johnny on Twitter if you want to see the occasional angry tweet about that, because they're gold. They're so good.
Yeah, I'm famous for yelling at the internet. That's
Angry man yells at clouds.
That kind of bums me out because they used to be, just really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was a massive supporter of SANS. I was pro SANS all day. I tried to be a SANS instructor. Like, I was super SANS. And then they started doing the send us money or we're going to burn notice you thing. And I said, that is blackmail. I'm out.
Yeah.
That's no good. Cisco, everyone does. It's not just SANS. It's Cisco.
Right.
It's CompTIA. everyone says, keep sending us money or we're going to render your cert invalid, which doesn't make any sense because, like, I still passed that exam. Granted, I passed it in 2007 or whatever, and I put that on my resume.
Recertification makes sense.
Sure.
But not just demanding money to keep it back. That's stupid.
Yeah.
What is paying them more money?
I don't know.
You're getting me angry about it now.
I'm very angry about it. Like, and here, like, so, like, ISC Squared, who runs the oft-hated CISSP program, only wants like $80 every couple of years or every year or something. And I'm like, all right, generally you can get an employer to cover that. But SANS wants hundreds of dollars every few years. It's every 4 or 5 years or something. And it's like, get the fuck out of here. Yeah. And they're like, or you can recertify for hundreds of dollars.
That's, man.
Yeah. And it's like, but they're a tiger with no teeth. They're like, otherwise, we're going to say your cert's no longer valid. And I'm like, I'm already saying I passed this cert in 2013. Like, the employer is already on to me. Like, what are you going to do?
Right.
Yeah.
But people fall for it, man. It's a scam. And it sucks. Yeah, I used to love SANS. Their training is amazing. Their training is very directed and it's actionable and it's stuff you can take to work the next Monday. But the re-upping thing is just
the politics.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
It is very unfortunate.
I was in a SANS course. I think it was one of the penetration testing courses, and it was in San Francisco. And this dude who looked to be in his 50s or 60s, he looked like a Unix graybeard, is hanging out in the doorway. Oh, so this was like an after hours segment on Intro to Linux that they were doing at the SANS meetup. And I was like, I had nothing to do, and I'll go to these because you're guaranteed to always learn at least one thing you didn't know. Even though it's an intro course, it's like, oh, cool. So I'm hanging out, and I'm in the back of the class, and Graybeard's just standing in the door, and he's not part of SANS. He doesn't have a SANS badge. He looks very disheveled. And the instructor's talking
the wizards do.
And the instructor's talking about RM, and this guy in the door goes, RM, that's me. And like, so
you're like, oh, he's senile too.
Right, yeah, you look back and you see this guy who's clearly like transient, and you go, all right, okay, man, are we gonna call the police? And the instructor's like, what? And he goes, no, that's named after me. And so the instructor's kind of playing along, like, oh yeah, what's your name? And he's like, Richard Mansfield, and something the instructor's like, oh yeah, that's your initials. So moving on, he's like, no, I wrote that. It's like, what? He goes, I wrote that, and everyone thinks it means it's short for remove, but it's actually my initials.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And he's like, really? He goes, yeah, I wrote that in 1987 or something like this. And he starts going on this weird tangent and talking about C and stuff, and like he knew something, and I don't know if that was him, but his story might check out.
Written by Paul Rubin, David McKenzie, Richard M. Stallman, and Jim Mayring.
Well, is that GNU RM or Sys?
No,
or
look
Sys
for
5?
this. Look, POSIX RM.
Yeah.
Oh, POSIX RM. Okay, all right. Hold on.
I mean, also don't, because that sounds probably like it's a rabbit. I don't want the answer.
That sounds painful.
Do that after I'm off. Because
we'll put it in the show notes.
I really like the thought that maybe one day, maybe like in the past, I actually ran into this crazy transient dude who wrote RM for Unix System 5.
Yeah. That'd be great. Yeah, look it up later. Because the GNU core utils were a total rewrite, so he wouldn't be listed in those.
Were they a core rewrite?
Help out with them. Yeah.
I thought they were just.
My Google Foo is not that great right now.
I've been, as part of my scan candidate lately, I've been trying to maintain POSIX compliance, and so I've been doing a lot of non-GNU stuff, and I learned a lot.
Which is always funny to me because RMS is I think still part of the POSIX committee.
You know what sucks a whole lot?
What?
Non-GNU grep.
I'm sure it does.
It's so bad.
How bad is it? How bad is it, Jthan?
Remind me to show you some grepping.
We'll do it later. Can we do this later?
We can do
please?
it later.
We're already at 40 minutes.
I think my non-GNU, my biggest non-GNU gripe is non-GNU awk. And it's primarily because it doesn't the regex is way behind, and B, you can't easily reference environment variables.
For sure. Okay, so moving on back to WAFs now that we've taken like a 15-minute tangent.
Well, I don't know why you guys make everyone drink on this podcast, because this is what happens.
I know.
Yeah. So
to be fair,
we've had this problem since the 90s, where WAFs are terrible, and nobody until much more recently has come up with a solution for that. And so the bottom line is if you're running a WAF, you're kind of fucked, and it doesn't work, and you're probably paying an arm and a leg in support contracts and crap, because every security appliance since like the Target breach in like, what was it, 2011?
Oh man,
yeah, that was our 9/11 in the security space. That's when everything changed. Well, and it's because and nowadays it doesn't matter, because everyone's realized, oh wait, everyone still kept shopping at Target, so it doesn't matter if we get breached. But back then, so security exploded, and now everything is an appliance, and you have to pay a support contract on this crap, and it's like $50 to $75K a year, and all it does is churn out false positives that you have to hire an FTE to just stare at and pick through all day. We're looking at you, DLP. Yeah. And it's trash. Like 99% of all security stuff is trash, because it was cranked out quickly. They put the security word in the name. They put cyber and crypto, and fucking now they're doing machine learning and AI. And let me tell you, let me tell you about machine learning and security products, guys.
Oh, we know.
Okay. Yeah, we know. That sounds like you know. I don't have to tell you.
Still tell us.
Here.
It's
I'll drop my one ML bomb that I think a lot of people skim over. Even if your product does actually involve legitimate machine learning, it's not being trained on your personal data. It's being trained on all data up in some data center somewhere, because they collect all this shit and then train their ML, and then they're pushing down a pre-trained binary to your box. That means that ML that's going on is not going on within your data center. It's going on centrally, which then means that the box that's running inside your data center is not trained for your specific traffic, which makes the ML kind of worthless.
No context.
And if they are doing ML locally, that box is going to cost you $300,000, because the computational resources that are insane. And I know this for a fact because at my last company, Uptake, where we were trying to build an IDS for ICS, for industrial control systems, we had to do ML on site, because a lot of these industrial sites don't have internet uplinks. And the boxes we were building cost like $6,000.
I mean, to be fair, they shouldn't have internet uplinks for.
Oh yeah, no, it's totally right. But actually, there's like the new NERC SIP, which is the regulatory system that governs electricity generation and transmission.
I'm aware of this.
Now, so it used to ban jump hosts into the ICS realm, and now it actually requires the ICS stuff to be connected to the IT stuff.
Can I just tell you about my misery that having to deal with this?
Is it applicable? Yeah. I mean, this is a whole tangent you and I could probably go down, because I spent a year on this stuff.
It's insane. It really is. Like they came up with this idea that, any access to anything outside of production or SIP needs this extra set of hosts to jump through. Yeah. And we're dealing with it right now.
I'm a big fan. I'll fight you. Yes, it is a nightmare, and it's the best way of doing it.
It is. Sure. Oh no, I'm just saying it's frustrating. I get why we're doing it, but it's frustrating.
Security's job is, so a lot of people think security's job is to say no. And that's not true. If security's job is to say no, it'd be really easy. Abstinence is the best policy. We could just disconnect the entire company from the internet and
there you go.
Call it a day. But that's not possible. So security's job is to do risk analysis and make concessions where applicable. But part of that involves destroying the economics of attacking the infrastructure. And this is all tying back into what we were talking about before, I promise.
That's okay.
Yeah. So there's this very popular philosophy within the security space, popularized by Wim Reams, who read a really great tiny book called Time-Based Security. If you haven't read Time-Based Security, everyone who works in IT should. It's a very quick read. It's very eye-opening. It's right to the point. It makes you go, oh God, I get it. And like everyone who reads Time-Based Security is very like, now we like security and we know how to work with them because we know what the fuck their problem is. The problem is a lot of security guys haven't read it and they don't understand the purpose behind what they're doing. So if you're a security guy, please read this book. It tells you why you're doing your job. And so the whole concept of time-based security boils down to the same thing as like your house will never be 100% secure. The whole idea is to make it more annoying to break into, so that either we catch the guy trying to break into it, like we slow him down enough for the cops to show up and catch him, or B, it's more so annoying that he goes to the less secure neighbor. That's right. Yeah. So what you're doing with security's job is to destroy the economics of the attack. And so I currently work for a company called Kasada Incorporated, and we have developed this freaking amazing technology. And I'm not just saying that because they don't pay me to. They do pay me to work there. But I can.
But you're not PR, right?
Well, I can go work anywhere. And I have a reputation, in the industry. If I go work for a bullshit snake oil company, that's going to fuck me over for life. Like, I can't do that. So, and I made very sure that wasn't happening before I started working at Kasada. Kasada they have an amazing team. These guys are like the best, and I love talking to these engineers every day. They've developed a product that cuts through this entire quagmire of security bullshit. So you've got, and specifically we operate on layer 7, the HTTP realm. Yeah, this is, so we're, I sometimes have to say that we're a WAF to get people to understand where we're coming from, but we're not a WAF. We're not a firewall. We don't deal in IP addresses. So we're not. But we do what WAFs do, but better and more effectively. So you know how in your general security space, you've got an ocean of vulnerabilities. You've got an ocean of attack methods. You've got an ocean of attack vectors. You have all these products that have to keep track of all these. They have to write signatures to be able to detect if certain types of attacks are going on against certain types of hosts. And it's a big mess. And you have to keep all your crap updated. And anytime some new ODate comes out, it's going to be at least a week to 2 weeks before your appliances get the updates to detect those types of attacks. And it's terrible. Kasada had this idea of Occam's razor. What's the common denominator amongst all of this? And the common denominator was automation. So nearly, like, we're talking 99 point several nines of HTTP attacks are automated, which makes total sense because we're talking about the economics of an attack.
Nobody wants to sit there with fucking curl or whatever, just trying to bang
it
out.
I'm not typing in one credential pair at a time into curl hoping to fucking get no. You know what? I might do that 5 times. Right. And then I'm gonna go, well, all right, cool. I tried spring 2019, summer 2019. All right, now I'm gonna pass it. Spring 2019 exclamation point. Yeah. And then I'm going to hand it off to even Burp Suite or a Python requests script or whatever that I wrote. Yeah. And you keep laughing, buddy. It's
I think he's laughing at the absurdity of reality.
Yeah. It's I know how real it is.
Right. And it's because your help desk is set up bullshitty, and help desks are the biggest black hole of security in any organization. You're giving the people with the least IT experience the most power. So whenever I would go phishing, I would target help desk people because they're going to have admin rights and they're going to be dumb. So anyway, we're addressing the automation behind these attacks. So if I could stop 99.39s of attacks with that's amazing. Yeah. So all you're missing, let's look at what you're missing from that. Let's address what we don't catch. And it's the human being in a legitimate browsing environment who is manually typing these things in and manually transmitting them to your site. You're probably not going to catch that guy anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a severely targeted. They're really motivated at that point. Yeah.
Your WAF sure as shit isn't going to catch him. So it's not like something else you have is going to do a better job. They're extremely motivated because that's a human being's time, which is the most expensive thing on Earth. Especially if it's that own human being determining what his time is worth. Because I don't know what you value your time, but man. So we said, all right, let's detect not the attack, but the automation. Because even generally, and so let's forget attacks as far as brute forcing and carding and loyalty program abuse, like account takeover. Right. Forget all that. That's obvious.
Like Target.
Let's talk about scraping. Let's talk about stealing data that you do want to host publicly, because let's say you're a hotel and you need people to see what your rates are for various days. But you do not need your competitor to be able to see what your rates are at every single one of your hotels for every day of the year, right? Mm-hmm. How do you stop that? Now you go, all right, well, what we do is we do behavioral analysis on IP addresses that are coming in and trying to hit multiple hotel sites with the same days, etc. Mm-hmm. With how easily obtainable and cheap new IP addresses are, we see this all the time in Kasada. You've got people doing one HTTP GET request per IP address. Mm-hmm. New IP, send the GET, grab the page, scrape it, dump the IP, next IP. And this is all automated, of course. What do you do?
Wow, yeah. That's, well...
Shoot me some ideas.
So, I'm assuming you have access to data of more than one hotel, right?
What do you mean?
Because you're...
So will they use...
You mentioned they're hitting multiple hotels.
Yeah, so assume you are... give me a hotel chain. Marriott. Yeah, assume you're Marriott. Okay. And this is happening to you. You have an attacker coming in.
Okay, for multiple locations.
Yeah, who's scraping your entire hotel pricing database for the year by way of via your websites.
I would probably look at the amount of time between the requests.
Okay.
And like you said, the actual window of data, like what they're actually querying.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what they're actually querying is what any normal user would query. They're sure. So.
But normal users aren't going to have 15 tabs open and doing it with a couple milliseconds in between each one.
So say they're only doing one page, a single GET request per IP address.
Yep.
What do you do?
Well, either there's a really big convention going on in a multiple state area,
right?
or there's something fishy going on. But
which happens
beyond that. Well, right, sure.
Like that's not abnormal. That's your normal traffic. Well, it's and so I'm saying single GET request, and that's kind of misleading.
That's impossible with redirects.
Right.
Stuff. Yeah, I get that. But I don't know. Beyond what I laid out,
They're coming in. They're searching for that specific date and hotel. They're great, and they're reloading that page, and then they leave. So what are you going to do? Yeah. Are you going to block everyone who gets that far and leaves?
Do you just start looking for patterns in terms of like...
I'd probably rate limit it.
How?
Yeah, what about like...
Rate limit what?
Okay, all right, so here's the thing. If somebody's really using like... Is curl a legitimate example?
That's because not really something you can rate limit.
Real users are not going to be using curl. So do you start looking at the user agent and you start...
Sure.
No, that's too easy to
Yeah, of course it is, but...
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to get you anything.
It's ametric.
You would be...
You're going to...
The two of you are right. There is just a profound, just an amazing amount of people who are just throwing straight curl scripts down and succeeding.
Really?
Yeah, and you're correct. Very easy to detect just based on user agent. Also, you're correct. Extremely easy to fake user agent.
Is it possible I'm falling into the same trap where I'm just overthinking it? Because I can't see how... I feel like there's multiple points of behavior that you would need to account for, right?
But how do you correlate all of those points of behavior back to a single individual or single instance? Not even a human, but a single instance, a single attack machine.
So are you going to give us the answer, or do you want us to try and...
I can, but this is really fun because
you have to
because he's getting operations perspective.
You have to pay monkey socks more than the other guys. And then they're going to just tell you, like, this is the one.
This is why I posed the question and waited, because I knew someone's going to come up with an answer I hadn't thought of already.
Yeah.
And I'm going to text our CEO and go, hey, how much money do we have? I got an idea.
I would say that, security is not a one-man job. Like, if you're trying to protect yourself against the
what
internet
if it
as a
could
whole.
Be?
Okay, tell me how it could be.
He said, that's another episode.
Okay, all right, that's
right.
What if this could be a zero-man job?
Yeah.
Give us some bots to do it. I guess.
We're talking about automation. Yeah. So you need bots to do. And so what do your bots do? Machine learning on behavioral analysis? Assume you had all the computational resources on Earth.
Well, no, because, then how do you differentiate a human from these one-off gets?
Yeah.
So you can't...
riddle me that.
You're fucking with my head.
There's a way. I will tell you that there's a answer to this mystery.
Okay, I'm throwing in my towel because otherwise I'm going to be spending like 5 days.
Yeah, I was really excited to throw this at you guys because you're extremely knowledgeable people who deal with this crap a lot. It's easy for me to bounce this off a CISO who hasn't touched a keyboard in 10 years, but
right.
Yeah. So you've got here's your scenario. You've got a single human attacker who has
a laptop,
let's say,
or whatever.
No, he's got a box in the cloud.
Okay,
and he has 1,000 residential and mobile IP addresses, via which he is sending a single HTTP GET /post, like whatever he needs to do to access the pricing data, and then he dumps the IP. He burns it.
Yep.
And you only have 500 pages he needs to get to. How do you catch this guy? And this is real. This is a very real scenario. This is what we defend against trillions of times a day.
I'm gonna throw in the title on this.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
paint
a super hard
the pressure's
problem,
on
right?
because
you paint a picture that it basically is. It's almost impossible, and realistically, I know that security.
The problem is like I know that because of how fast I'm gonna bring in some outside intelligence there, because of how fast Kasada's become successful with this. I know it's not impossible, and I know it's probably
coming up on
pretty
4 years.
Okay. Well, it was a bathtub moment, I'm pretty sure, right? Like, it wasn't something you were engineering for a long time. You were probably engineering to make it happen, but the idea was correct,
Yeah, very true. Well, and it came from our technical founder, Sam Crowther, who worked for effectively the Australian NSA, doing these attacks all day, and he was like, this is so easy to defend against. Why doesn't anyone just do X? And then he developed X, and now that's what we sell.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not.
So the idea, because this isn't fun anymore.
Right, it's getting infuriating.
Right. So this, I was trying to instill this infuriation in people because this is what everyone feels all the time. And you're like, I bought a fucking WAF. And it doesn't fucking work. And all it does is feed me false positives. And now I have to pay at least one security FTE to sit in front of this thing and pick his nose and drool and go, it's all fake. And then in the end, even when he identifies a legit attacker, the most severe response he can take is to block the IP address, which is already burned and garbage and gone. So what we are doing is we actually fingerprint the client environment
with what, like JavaScript?
Yeah.
Okay.
By way of a reverse proxy in the cloud.
Okay.
So you can set us up either. You can do if you're a smaller organization and you don't have a CDN, you just do a DNS. You send DNS to us, and then we redirect the good traffic to origin.
Johnny, I got to admit, I'm a little bit disappointed in how simple that answer was.
Yeah, it's the most. I think the one thing I say more often than anything else about my job is we spend about 30% of our day laughing.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hilariously simple. Now, of course, once you take the lid off, it's just the most complex shit you've ever seen in your life.
Sure, yeah. But there's a lot of
the concept is insanely simple. Yeah, and it's the Occam's razor. We look for the automation, and we don't look for automation in the passive data that we receive because all of that can be spoofed and lied about.
Right.
We ask. I'm sorry. Cut that out. We don't ask. We look on the client computer, and that's an important differentiator, because if you ask the client computer, hey, what's going on here, again, the attacker who set this all up can lie about it.
I'm a Windows machine that's looking for a printer.
Well, chances are, unless you're doing it through like something like, I don't know, Beautiful Soup, which would take not Beautiful Soup, Selenium, which would take forever, and you would not want to automate it because you
would not take forever.
With a full session.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about running these hundreds or thousands of GET requests through Selenium and then killing the session and spawning a new one.
No, you automate it. All of that.
I'm not talking about doing it by hand, but Johnny, have you ever...
PDSH, man.
It takes... No, PDSH would not help you here.
I'm kidding.
So we do a lot of this just to demo the product. Selenium. So yeah, Selenium is huge. Puppeteer. I fucking love Puppeteer and Headless Chrome. So Puppeteer and Headless Chrome is devastating. If you're trying to pull off some of this shit, like pro tip, bust out Headless Chrome and Puppeteer. Devastating. It is nigh impossible for nearly every technology out there to detect. It's fantastic.
I may or may not have had experience with what you're talking about.
Yeah. If you're automating any kind of web requests, and I mean requests as in like post, get, whatever. Yeah. And you need to, and regardless, you should just always be doing this. Whether you need JavaScript or not, you should just make this your default action because you're going to get really fast at doing it all the time. And it will always work versus you having to constantly go switch from Python to Puppeteer. Like, just always use Puppeteer. Just do it. another cool thing we do is we don't require you to put this JavaScript within your web pages. You don't have to modify your website in any way. You don't have to you switch your templates and shit. And that's really important. Not just because A, you don't have to get all that approved. B, the bigger point is we never send those requests to your origin in the first place. So we're filtering out these requests from your origins. So even if you did have the capability of blocking some of this crap, you're still expending CPU resources. You're still expending bandwidth on doing that. We eliminate that. We're literally cutting down a huge portion of the white noise that hits your origins by way of just being on the internet. And that's substantial. So we're reverse proxying the cloud, too, which means, so request comes in, it hits us. We respond with HTTP 200. Here's the data you requested. We give you this little JavaScript snippet to run. And now you're going to go like, oh, well, now you're requiring all our users to run JavaScript. Yeah, like the rest of the internet does. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this is not weird. And so, well, what about users that have JavaScript blocked? Well, they're used to having to unblock that to access websites. That's a normal thing. Shut up. Like, this is, where are you from? You do it. Like, if you're a NoScript user, you do this. You have to use the internet. So you say, let me turn off NoScript so this works. So this JavaScript comes in. This JavaScript is obfuscated as fuck. Okay? And it's encrypted and obfuscated in a way without getting an NDA territory. It's obfuscated and encrypted in such a way, and the information it's even looking for is varied per fingerprinting session in such a way that even if you did sit down for the month and a half to 6 months to 300 years or whatever it would take you to decrypt all of this and figure out exactly what it's trying to get answers to,
it's still based on session.
Right. By the time you went back and tried it again, it would ask you for a completely different set of information, and you're fucked. Yeah, it's the best. And again, we don't ask the client for information because you can lie about it. What we do is we run code on the client within the browser and look at the results of that. And we don't just run code that asks, hey, what browser version are you running? We do weird shit. We do shit like,
what's your version of SSL?
Yeah. No. Well, so like we have about right now it's like 73 different metrics that we can check for. We do things like we'll run syntactically incorrect JavaScript and inspect the error message that results.
Okay.
Because
so if you were to
even if you're talking Chrome versus headless Chrome, which are supposed to be identical, headless Chrome actually responds with different error messages.
It's interesting.
And we figured this out. We have a huge research team that just spends all day inspecting browsers and finding really weird, tiny idiosyncrasies between all of these things that we can not. And then we have to figure out how to not ask for it, but do something that will break or result or either B result in something that will tip us off to it is A and not B, even though A is claiming to be B and B is claiming to be A.
Well, and that's what I meant with the Selenium. I was talking about spawning Windows, actual automated Windows sessions.
Yes.
In which case it would be much harder to detect on your end because it's running the actual program, but at the same time for the attacker, that's a huge. It's almost not worth it at that point.
Absolutely, and that's what we're doing, and that goes back to the economics of the attack, where it's expensive. Bottom line. So you have your actual dollar cost. You have your what's it cost to run an AWS instance at whatever level you would need to even get anywhere. It's insane. Right. And then B, you have the human time cost. You're making the attack so freaking slow that their time's going to be up, especially if you're dealing with if they're trying to scrape data that's time sensitive, such as automobile pricing data, hotel room pricing data, stocks. We do a lot of sports betting arbitraging.
Oh, that's so.
We have the entire Australian, Southeast Asian sports betting on lock. Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
Because there's people who arbitrage. They look at all of the sites and go, who's running what odds on what, and they'll scrape all that data and they'll place the bet on something that has the best odds for whatever they're trying to do. That's how the short version of how arbitrage works. So and we prevent that. Yeah, it's insane, and we're up against very sophisticated attackers. We're protecting banks, we're protecting stock markets, we're protecting.
Well, that's because up until now they've already made a shit ton of money off of doing this.
Yeah,
so they have a lot of resources. Yeah.
Per bet, depending on how much money you have to start with, per bet you can be talking of millions of dollars. So it's extremely financially motivating for someone to spend a fuck ton of time up front to develop a bot that is very, 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 very difficult to detect. It's, if they're going to get $1.5 million payout, of course they're going to spend 6 months writing an undetectable bot.
Yep.
Of course. That's way more than my 6-month salary. That's leaps and bounds.
Right.
And so, you're up against people who are insanely financially motivated to spend an insane amount of time to be able to get around your defenses, and we're still catching them because in the end, they have to automate it, especially in instances of things like stock markets and sports betting arbitrage. You have if you're going through this at human speed, you're too slow and you've lost.
Yep.
You have to automate this. There's no choice, and we're stopping that. And that's what's super cool. It's that Occam's razor. We're just detect the automation present within the client environment and say, no, thanks. And that's it. Yeah. It's the simplest concept. And even as any kind of website, hey, do you want users to be able to use automation to access your website? No. And your answer may be I don't care. And so if your answer is I don't care, it can also be no then.
Right.
The answer is almost never yes. And in the cases where it is yes, it's a very specific edge case, which, we just whitelist for.
Got it. This does remind me of how, I think it was the NSA. You'd be able to remember this, I hope, hopefully. They were finding the Tor browser through a very similar technique, but using human metrics. Because there was a bug in the Tor browser that it would delay mouse clicks by a certain number of milliseconds or something like that, and it was so reliable that they would catch it almost all the time.
Yeah, when you can.
What was
I can't remember the specifics. It was 2 years ago.
Right, but... and that's effectively exactly. That's not even forget the effectively part. That's exactly what we're doing. We're doing this stupidly low level of browser inspection to figure out what's different about this and that. What's different about the Tor Firefox versus stock Firefox? There's an 180 millisecond delay on mouse clicks. Got it. That's absolutely something I can check for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super easy in JavaScript.
And we're adding to this all the time as we find things. Yeah, it's super silly. And so here's the coolest part. Here's the coolest freaking part. It's a multi-part cool part.
Okay.
We're transparent.
Yep.
So you don't get that Cloudflare 3 bouncing dots.
Black box.
Please wait while we check out all your shit. So the users don't know what's happening. And B, the users really don't know what's happening because the amount of time it takes for us to have the client process, send the telemetry back up, and have us go, okay, you're cool, 50 to 75 milliseconds.
Wow.
Your browser takes longer than that to just render a freaking page.
It does. That's impressive. That's pretty cool.
It's so cool. I'm so excited about every last aspect of this.
Yeah, that is definitely awesome. But then
also, speaking of Tor, Cloudflare, to throw a Cloudflare bone, they have a really amazing means of being able to, oh gosh, what was it? They're doing something with Tor. So there.
Right.
I gotta look it up now. It was they were able to do some kind of privacy. Oh, they were able to. So Tor, the NSA, et cetera, was able to determine who was using Tor and what you were doing based on endpoint activity. And they were able to recreate human behavior, kind of piece human behavior back together by collecting all this Tor exit node data. And Cloudflare was, I believe, doing something to cause that to not actually be possible.
Oh, wow.
Okay. I don't remember what it was. Anyway, go look up Tor and Cloudflare and you'll probably find that. But totally unrelated to what we're talking about.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
But it is the method of Tor browser detection that I mentioned that the NSA developed.
Yes.
That is very similar.
Right.
Only
so
instead of
that is a great example of exactly what we're doing.
User A and user B, your user versus bot.
Yeah. And it's exactly what we're doing at Kasada.
Cool.
Very weird low-level things like that. We have researchers who are looking for these bananas level things.
BANANAS.
Yeah, which is that's exactly what the NSA was doing. Except the NSA, and just like the NSA, we're not telling people when we find them either.
Right.
Exactly. And that's our special sauce. That's sub NDA. That's stuff I don't have access to, unless I was one of the people who found a thing.
Well, that's cool that you separate so that each detection method that's developed is unique to the person that develops it and finds it.
Yeah, and then and even cool. After we flagged someone as, all right, this is a human, let them in, we still do the traffic monitoring, and if you get up to anything hinky, we catch it immediately.
I like that word, hinky.
Hinky, I don't remember where I picked that up, but I did look it up once, and it's got a really cool backstory that I won't get into. But hinky's
I'll link to it in the show notes. Yeah,
you'd be like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, so that's what we're doing, and it's fucking devastating. It is hilarious. I spend 30% of my day laughing at the people we destroy, and that's only the half of what we do. Mm-hmm. The other half of what we do, I'm sure you've seen, is the cryptographic challenge.
Yeah, I remember seeing it here and there. Yep.
Yeah. So there used to be a thing that has been around since the 90s, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was effectively like tar pitting, but you could only do it like IP based and port based. What we're doing is we're not tar pitting these people, we're DOSing their CPU. So we detect that they're a bot, and if this is a sophisticated bot. It could run JavaScript. It processes cookies. It does everything right. It looks like a browser. We detect that it's automated. We don't block it.
Really?
Yeah. We don't send it a 403 or whatever.
Well, then they know that you're onto them.
Right. Yeah. We don't let them know that we caught them. Mm-hmm. Why would you do that? You let them hang themselves.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You lure them into the bungee trap. We send them back. HEP 200. Cool beans, dude. Here's what you wanted, and
but it's not what they wanted.
It's a bunch more JavaScript, and effectively, it's an iterative hash function.
Okay.
And so, what's really cool about iterative hash functions is you can dynamically adjust the difficulty. So, we're not just like full force, like nuclear blast DOSing the CPU on this box, unless we want to. So you may have a customer that says like, hey, look, we're fine with people, say, doing automated purchasing. We just don't want them to do it to the extent where it wrecks our origin servers and our legitimate customers aren't able to also purchase. We would like the automated purchasers to be slowed down to a human purchasing speed.
Okay.
We can do that by dynamically adjusting the iterative hash function that they're sent. And saying like, all right, we're going to send you a function that's going to take you 5 seconds to solve. And then once you solve it and you submit the solution, we go, looks good. Here's the page you requested. Go on. And
it's like a CAPTCHA for bots.
Yeah. It's a CAPTCHA for bots that's fully transparent.
Yeah.
Is only delivered to non-humans. Yeah. And we can crank it up to where it would take them 3,000 years and they'll never get in. And their AWS Lambda bills are $8 trillion every month.
Astronomical, yeah.
Yeah. So that's
really cool.
That's the 1-2 punch of what we're doing.
So have you bankrupted anybody doing this?
It's hard to tell, because nobody calls us and goes, "Hey, you bankrupted me." People who are launching these attacks generally don't want to make themselves known. A lot of times, I don't know about a lot of times, there have been times where it was determined that the attacker was in fact a direct competitor. This is, so corporate espionage is insanely real. Very real. Just super duper real. And I'm talking to the extent where company A will, invest $1-2 million to develop systems for scraping company B's data, because by having that, they're going to be able to undercut them and make $4 million. Sure. This is extremely real. In fact, this is, in my personal experience, I would put $1 on this being the majority of these sophisticated bot cases.
I mean, it would make sense. Yeah. Like, what other motivation and resources would these people have if not for a competitor? So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not all just account takeovers and trying to steal money out of your bank account. Like nobody wants your $30.
Right.
Well, I think not having the $30 is not the $30. It's the information behind it. It's the social security number. It's the date of birth. It's the location. It's the
even more than that. If they can get a bot on a if they can get a bot on a desktop, if they can get remote execution, I mean that's another residential IP that they don't even need to pay for at that point.
And granted, like a lot of these AWS boxes that are even coming in, or like even the Lambda stuff, there's a lot of compromised Amazon accounts that these come from. It has been cool. I have seen tons of evidence. Granted anecdotal, but from people who allege to have been victims, saying like, hey, when I told Amazon that, hey, my shit was compromised, and they looked into it and they said, yep, looks like it, they gave all the money back. They said, okay, you're not on the hook for this bill. Now, I have also heard evidence where people said the third time it happens, Amazon stopped giving a shit.
Right.
At that point, you should change your password.
Yeah, and that's so
only at that point.
I threw a tweet on Twitter that was just like, "Hey, look, we fucked this guy's Lambda account up," and I got a lot of responses that were, "Yeah, but that probably wasn't his. You probably fucked up some poor guy whose account got compromised."
Yeah, but how many times has it happened?
Exactly.
My end response to that is it's not my problem.
Yeah.
That guy's systems were being used to launch an attack against someone I'm charged with protecting. What should I do? Go, oh no, these servers were compromised. Never mind. You let him in. Come on.
Right.
Come on, guys. Let him in. Like, it's not his fault.
I don't care if it's not his account. That's, or if he's not actually doing it. It's his account. It's compromised. Fuck it.
Yeah, I cannot believe you can go through that thread. It's like my pinned tweet on Twitter and just look at that thread. There's an incredible enough people who are like, oh, but those are compromised servers and you're costing innocent people money. What?
He's not innocent because he's compromised.
So. What would you have me do as a defender?
Yeah.
Am I like
you're defending?
Oh yeah.
Like it's not your fault.
No, this is probably a compromised AWS account. Don't stop them. Let them in. Come on, guys.
So here's the problem.
Shut the fuck up.
This is resonating so hard with me. I've more than once.
This should resonate insanely hard against anyone who runs a web server.
Right, exactly. And that's my point. Like I've been called elitist for this so many times, but like.
Well, you kind of are.
If you don't know how to run a server, don't run a fucking server.
Yeah.
Because this shit happens, and you're a good example of that. Like, it just creates problems for the people who don't know any better. Like,
there's so that accusation of elitist goes around a lot, and it stems from the like. It sounds like you're just being like, you don't know how IT works, so you should just go fucking make pottery. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Maybe you should learn what the fuck you're doing before you do it.
Right.
If they want to learn, I will totally tutor you, but maybe like study for a year.
If you don't know how to safely set yourself on fire, don't set yourself on fire. That's what you're saying.
Great way of putting it.
And you can spend a year learning how to safely set yourself on fire. And you'll start in your home, just setting your foot on fire, seeing what happens, putting it out, learning.
Right.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it.
Mm-hmm. And I always say that, like, look, if it's something you want to do, I will very gladly give you all the resources I know of. I will be there to answer questions you have.
Absolutely.
I will be there to give you exercises to do to get better. I am all for you getting into it and learning how it works. But for fuck's sake, learn how it works.
There was somebody, this might have been a year ago or so on Twitter that I was fighting with.
Was it about the email?
Yeah!
Yeah. we did an episode about that.
There was somebody like, just run your own email server. And we were all like, fucking stop this immediately.
No. Yeah.
Super no. 3 exclamation points. Don't.
Stop
do
now.
Not.
Stop
do
now.
not once. Yes. Yes. Learn how to do one. Yes. Run a dumb one for no reason.
I mean,
run like a local
watch
school
all the bad crap that watch all the bad crap that happens, and then go, oh, I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Don't run your primary email server out of your home.
Or even on just like a VPS somewhere, like without knowing what you're doing. Yeah.
So I, as someone who ran the email gateways for a Fortune 300, 6th largest online retailer in the world.
Oh, that sounds like a nightmare.
Do not run my own email server.
Right.
So, and not to say you shouldn't. fucking, if you have a passion to figure out how this works, full speed ahead, go for it. Do not put your important email accounts on it. Do not do not email your accountant via this. Like, yeah. I mean, every company, McAfee, Symantec, Intel, etc., has developed email gateways that cost them tens of millions of dollars to develop the security around to make sure that you can email your accountant through them. You're not going to do that from a PC you built in your closet.
Right.
Now, granted, your threat model is different and nobody wants your $30. But, but shit can happen.
Sure can.
So that was, that was a sidetrack. I'm still very,
For the
very
record,
fervent.
I am on the last Coors Light.
Okay.
Wow.
Good.
That's impressive. I finished.
I have moved on to my Rowan's Creek Kentucky bourbon.
Yeah.
I
actually spent
I brought something else.
Actually spent a little bit of time not actually drinking, so I've been drinking them pretty heavily now. So.
Oh, my apologies. I didn't mean to distract you. I'm actually proud of that, because that means like when I can distract a drunk from drinking.
You're a good guest. We like having you on, Johnny. You're always entertaining.
I wish you'd have me on more. I like talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, we
except
love
Brent,
having
he can't even talk because he's too busy fucking deep throating his vape pen.
Oh, calm down.
That is the most distracting thing when I'm trying to talk and I hear that vape hit.
Yeah, I know.
What is it about? There's something about the frequency of a vape hit that it just fogs the brain.
It does catch attention. Yeah,
like you can't think straight when you hear a vape hit.
It's like a seg fault on your thought process.
Yeah, it's just like
stops it.
And as soon as it's done, you're back to what you were doing.
For what it's worth, we do edit it out in post.
Oh,
but it doesn't help you much.
I wish you
sorry
would.
about that, but also not sorry.
The really funny thing, Johnny, is that Jthan sometimes will start, just pounding away on his keyboard like that. And I'm like, I had to learn to not say anything, because otherwise we'd have to cut myself saying, what was that? And,
Yeah.
So,
I run a podcast, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows.
Hashtag I got one podcast every Friday on all major platforms.
I think you mentioned that. Yeah, I think you mentioned it already. Yeah. But obviously we put it on the show notes and stuff.
Yeah.
But speaking of Jthan, if you have 15 keyboards and you bash on all of them at the same time, and if the keyboards were clams, how many clams do you have?
Well, I'm not an alchemist, but I think it's 15. I don't know what the conversion rate is from keyboards to clams these days.
Well, I said if each keyboard was a clam.
Yeah, I know,
Jthan.
but you're assuming based on old world knowledge.
Is that the meme where like, here's what Canadians look like when they see miles per hour instead of syrups per moose?
Yeah, I'm trying to do a graceful segue into Jthan's segment, but it's not working so well. So Jthan, why don't you just give us your 15 clams?
Sure. So I was going to talk about my experience today purchasing parts for my new router.
Listen to S04E13 where we talk about that. Yep.
Yeah.
So now I want to know.
I don't ever want to have to be in a position where my router needs parts.
Are you doing Linux or are you doing BSD?
That is not about the parts, so I'm going to hold off on answering that question.
Disagree.
It's all about that.
Well, I mean, it can be depending on which BSD.
Base.
You're
NetBSD will run on just about anything, but
misguided people. No,
your mom.
So, no.
Of course,
first video call your mom. Can we video call your mom while we're on the air right now?
The first thing that I want to...
Do you want... I can patch her in. Hang on. She's
probably
ready.
do it my mom's number.
No, Jthan, keep going.
She's kind of going.
Yeah, she's indisposed at the moment.
She is.
So I guess what I really wanted to mention, I guess, is I bought all the shit for my router build.
How much was it?
And I think...
let him talk. Oh my gosh.
$463, but I upgraded from the cheapest stuff I could have gotten.
Please tell me it's like a steampunk...
No, it's going in a closet.
It's some crappy case that he got. I mean, it's not a good looking case. It's like a gamer case.
$40. It's $40 for a case.
No, the case was one of the things I upgraded. I got a smaller, more silent case.
Did you say Gamera case?
Gamer.
Oh, all right.
No, it's
Gamera, like the.
It's not
The old
so,
like
so
1960s movie.
Gamera. Yeah.
I'm thinking. Is all day